Oh my. Oh my. Welcome in, Kev. Bless you very kindly for the raid. How did the remainder of the stream go this afternoon? So we technically will be starting in about 4 minutes, but as you lovely raiders have arrived, let's say hello. Welcome on in. Now, guys, if you aren't already following the United City, you most definitely should be. I mean, just before he came on over, we had the lovely little pre-stream card that had some recommended ones, and he was one of those ones down in the bottom right. An absolute gentleman, such a lovely, calming voice, a true gentleman within the community. So, I mean, genuinely, you should be checking him out. If you're not, he streams at 3 p.m. I believe most weekdays when able to do so, and genuinely lovely. So thank you very much indeed for the follow as well, United City. Can't believe you weren't following, so I had to put that right. You are an absolute gent. So yeah, how did the remainder of the stream go? Obviously I had to jump off because I need to spend like a good 40 minutes or so before the stream psyching myself up, just staring blankly into a camera without the streaming button going, just going, I can do this, which is then usually followed by me not doing it. So yeah, also thank you very much for the follow, Dodster73. Welcome on in. Let's do this. I mean, yeah, we're 2 minutes away from when we normally would start. Let me just check actually something, because I'm not showing up on my YouTube over there. Let me just check that that's connected correctly. Yep, that's all gone. I don't need to do any last minute admin there. So welcome on in. I'm MustermannFM. We are about to start season 4 of our IFK Mariehamn save. So IFK Mariehamn are a team based in Finland. They're actually based just off the coast of Finland. So there's this lovely archipelago sort of between Finland and Sweden called the Åland Islands. Now the Åland Islands is an autonomous region of Finland. Their natural language, their official language is Swedish. And so part of our goal here is to try and bring like a little bit more of a Swedish flavour to this Finnish club, and we're doing all right. We just finished the 3rd season where we won our first league title, losing just a single game during the course. It was our penultimate game as well, a game where we had to play a defensive midfielder in defence, another defensive midfielder at right back, a right back at left back, and then had our captain, another defensive midfielder I should add, sent off after 22 minutes. So all things considered, a pretty good season apart from that blip. Let's take you on in and like introduce you to what's going on. We had a stream yesterday where we looked through the data side of things. We looked at the performance, we identified some potential signings, and then off stream late last night, I then played through pre-season to get us right up to date. So we will shortly be going into the very first game of the season in the Liigacup, which is a really cool it's like a pre-season tournament, I think. We've won it once. We didn't get out of the group stage last year, so we want to put that right. But before we get there, let's just say, so United City's sitting in 4th in the league right now with Leverkusen. That's not too shabby at all. Jonathan is in over on YouTube. Welcome on in, Jonathan. Stefan says, Musterman playing in Finland. As a Swede, that's a good thing. Mariehamn is a bit of a multicultural, a musical place for us. Exact, mythical place for us. Right, that makes sense. Yeah, like it's a wonderful place, and it is kind of Sweden without being Sweden. Let's be honest. So there are plenty of people, and we've got Levi in right up at the top there. We've got Lewis in. We've got Johnny Trotter. We've got a Hank in as well. We've got, as you can see, Matt160785. He knows I like reading out numbers. It's a bit weird of me, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. Rich is in as well. The wonderful Rich is here. Adam on the break is here. Lovely to see you all in. And then we've got the Raiders. I see a cheeky little bit of David. Oh, what a wonderful human David is. David, if you haven't checked him out, now he will be streaming things like FM and Euro Truck Simulator. But more importantly than that, he's a man that can lick his own elbow. So don't just go into his stream, but insist that he shows you. It's probably the only reasonable thing to do. We also have Dill here. Welcome in, Dill. Happy New Year to you, sir. I believe you're back online this evening, aren't you? Is it, if I'm correct, 10 p.m. UK time? Unless something has changed and I've now put unnecessary pressure on you. I do apologise if that's the case. We have an ACAB in. as well. Welcoming in ACAB, lovely to see you, sir. So Jonathan asks, what's the prediction for this season? It's a fair question. Our prediction is let's see what the game reckons. So coming in, we've just won the league. The first time that Mariehamn have won the league in 10 years, and only the second time they've done it in history. And we sit with 12-1 odds to repeat that this year round. We're a long way off HJK, but then HJK have been the odds-on favourites each of the last 3 years, and they haven't won it any of those times. So if we look at the past winners, since we've started, which is the 2024 season, Ilves won the first year, HJK were runners-up. Inter Turku won it the following year, HJK were the runners-up. We won it last year, HJK were the runners-up. So we've got to feel pretty good about ourselves in that regard. I believe the media prediction, because sometimes the media prediction for the club is different as well, but that appears to be second as well. So I think that we should be aiming for top 3. We've got a Champions League campaign that will come up like halfway through the season as well, so that's something to look forward to. Night of Nia is in. Welcome in, sir. Always nice listening to you reading numbers. How am I today? I am very good. I am very good indeed, sir. I hope you're doing well as well. Hongdamin is here. Vietnam is the king of Asia. Indeed, a massive result yesterday. Was it 3-0? I seem to recall it being someone saying it was 3-0. Let's have a look there. Maybe I'm not right, but you beat Thailand, didn't you? A fantastic result. A fantastic result indeed. Campurinus is in. Heston is in as well. Lovely to see you, my gents. And Rinter is in. Welcome in. Right, so let's start this up by introducing you to some new signings. We did should I do new signings? Let's talk about the one who got away first. So yesterday we spotted a wonderful central midfielder, a defensive midfielder who can do absolutely everything. A guy by the name of Ali Koulibaly. His contract was coming to an end at Västerås. And they had a 1-year contract extension option on him. So they triggered it. So we don't have Ali Koulibaly, who could have quite possibly been the greatest signing we ever picked. Now, he's only got a 1-year extension. So that means that maybe we can be active, say, around June, July time when it comes to 6 months up. And we can look to bring him in again. But that shaped a little bit of what we were planning to do. So instead, we've got this gentleman, a fellow called Abu Bawa. He doesn't have a face. And when I did a quick Google earlier, I couldn't find a picture that didn't crop out his hair. So we do need to look into that a little bit more. But he looked a little bit like Koulibaly, just a little bit worse. Didn't quite win as much possession. Gave away a little bit more of it. Slightly lower tackle win rate, but still very, very good. He arrives on loan, and I think we're paying him something like £240 per week. So hopefully he's going to be a really, really good addition. He's 8 years younger than Koulibaly, and his contract is also up when the loan ends. So someone we might look to keep if we can. So yeah, as a loan, cost us absolutely nothing to bring him in, other than the wages. £240 per week, I think, is only a fraction of what he's earning as well. Yep. So at Vernamo, he's on £1,300 per week, and we've got him for a mere 20% of that, which I think is pretty decent going. He's going to be joined by another loan signing, a gentleman named Aliou Atli-Mana. Now, the loan signings, we had to rely on our director of football for that after the window had opened. Aliou Atli-Mana is a left-footed only centre-back who, like Billy Kumetjo, our star defender, is very good at jumping. Unlike Billy Kumetjo, he's a little bit rubbish at heading. I should probably explain something. So for those guys that came in and joined potentially from Kev's stream, you might not be familiar with the way I play. So I do apologise for that. I play this kind of semi-attributeless way. I made the Mustermann iconic skin, so it kind of fits along with what we do there. So the way it works is, rather than seeing the numbers that a player's attributes are, we see an icon that indicates a range. This big white one here means that their attribute is somewhere between 16 and 20. Now this kind of still reasonably big light green attribute here is between 11 and 15. The average attribute, this one here, so heading here, is somewhere between 6 and 10. When it comes to penalties, he's really, really rubbish. He's somewhere between 1 and 5. So we've brought this guy in. He's able to pass. He's got decent control. He's seems to be pretty good all round. He's very injury prone, but we've got him on loan, so that's absolutely fine. Should be a very, very good signing for us. Someone who could cover behind Billy Cometio, or also play at left back ahead of one of our favourite players. So Daniel Enquist is rubbish. If we take a look at his profiles here, he's got okay positioning, okay vision, can't defend, can't pass, can't cross, can't dribble, can't finish, but he's been absolutely incredible for us. He's Mane comes in as the backup to Enquist. Enquist is very much our starter, despite looking truly, truly awful. So let's see. Calispera says Campiorinis because it's nighttime. So rather than so ACAB said Calimera, which is morning, daytime. But yeah, indeed. Right. The other arrival we've got is this gentleman here called Edvin Basirovic. Edvin Basirovic comes on in loan from Geis. He looks like he should be quite a decent player. His raw numbers, goals and assists don't look great, but when it came down to his pizza chart last season, he registered very highly for drills and very highly for expected assists. So he's creating chances, just the players weren't finishing them off. So I've got quite good hopes that he comes in and becomes part of our winger rotation. We've got two really good wingers, a guy called Timo Stavitsky, it's not the Stavitskys, and Boris Fartuna. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fartuna is the greatest name that has ever existed. I'm like absolutely incredible. Now, I did see that somebody mentioned that Ababawa played for Stabæk, then Transfer Market has his face and his hair. They do indeed hung him in, but it cuts off his hair. I'm not quite talented enough to draw without being able to trace everything. So I was looking for another photo of him earlier on today. I'm sure we'll be able to find something, but it is indeed that Ababawa, the former Stabæk player. He looks like he should be quite good. But yeah, Edvin Basirovic, he comes in. He's a dribbly boy. He's got decent pace. He's going to be part of a 3-part rotation out on our wings. That said, he came in and then he played. Did he play many of our games? I think he actually only played 1 or 2 of our friendlies and then picked up an injury. So he's out now for another couple of weeks still. Picked up his injury on the 8th of January. Oh, only a week ago, in fact. So yeah, we might have to wait a little bit to see him. We do have one other player as well to introduce. Where if we go via the tactics screen, Selim Snab. Selim Snab was a player who was performed very, very well the division below us. He's another winger, he's 20 years old, he's left-footed only, but he was scoring goals, he was creating chances, he was dribbling, but he's a little bit raw. He's 21, in fact. He turned 21 after we signed him. So he doesn't necessarily look too bad, not particularly well-rounded. And we have pushed him down into the reserves team, but he might come in every now and then situationally. We snapped ourselves a bargain, indeed, Johnny. Indeed. You can't pass up a name like Selim Snab. Now, the problem there is you might have noticed that not a single one of those players were the players that we identified yesterday. Because, as we said, with Ali Koulibaly, we missed out in the last moment. But we have managed to sign some of those players that we identified. Well, I say some of them. One of them we were looking at was a gentleman called Victor Kruger. Victor Kruger, other than having a wonderful name, was also a player who had a contract extension that was triggered. So we did manage to agree a deal to bring him in for £975 a week. Looked like everything was all good and ready to go. And then we get the news article saying that his contract extension had been triggered, which is a bit of a bugger. But there we go. So we've missed out on Victor Kruger, but we haven't missed out on everyone. What we have managed to grab is a gentleman called Lagwe Bayiringiro. I'm going to spend a long time during the course of this week trying to practice his name. Now, he was very much the same situation. His contract was due to expire, and then they triggered an extension, but we were able to still buy him for 68k. So Bayiringiro will be arriving tomorrow for was it 68, 75, 68k. That's going to be our rotation option up front, but also possibly playing as the shadow striker in behind. He's going to be competing with Antonio Jakub. This was a director of football signing. He's been kind of okay. He's playing in the Superettan, so the second division in Sweden. Scored 22 goals over the last 2 seasons from the attacking midfield spot, which should be hopefully an improvement on the return that we got from Danny Rockman and from Sverri. What's his name? Karkinen. Severi Karkinen. Severi Karkinen there is now going to find himself on the transfer list. And we've also brought in Oni Sutari. Now, over on YouTube, Jonsa was quite regularly in our chat in the first few seasons that we had there. And he did mention Oni Sutari being a player that there's quite a bit of hope surrounding with the Finland national team. So he plays for AC Oulu, who got relegated. So we swooped in. He's going to be there as part of that rotation up front. And then finally, we've got a player called Sami Sik, who was playing in the first division. He scored a couple of goals. So he scored like 17 goals last season, 9 the season after. He's going to be straight into the reserves, maybe put out on loan. But he's there as a player that we could potentially look to develop to be, again, part of that rotation, potentially. So is Slayman going on loan? Asks Jonathan. So that's a thing, right? That's a thing. Let's pop to this bit here. So currently we have a promise that we will sell Slayman if we receive a bid of £1 million. What happened was Ajax came in with a bid of about maybe 300,000, and we said no. We asked for like I think we asked for about £800,000, and they withdrew. And Slayman said, "Hey, come on, I need to leave." So we've managed to agree that we will sell if a bid of £1 million is received. So there is a possibility he's going to be leaving us this transfer window. Since we had that agreement in place, only Sporting remain interested in him. So Brentford have stopped showing interest. Ajax have stopped showing interest. So maybe we keep him for a little bit longer. But at the same time, we also have him listed for loan. The plan is for him to be able to get regular starting football. Obviously, I feel that will do his development a lot better than being on our bench coming in as part of a rotation. And ACAB asked, wait, did Lundberg extend? Lundberg did extend. That's how we ended the stream the other day. He was willing to negotiate, and so we offered the contract, and we carried through right until the moment that he signed the new contract. We've got him on a 3-year deal with no release clause. There is not even a release clause in his contract, so he is our main man going forwards for at least another year before teams start to get interested again and his head gets turned. So we'll see. We'll see. Massive news. So yeah, we have a few more transfers coming in. Unfortunately, the transfer window doesn't officially open until the day after our first game. So there's a number of those players we'll have to wait upon. Free transfers were able to come in at any point. The loan window opens in November. I'm not really sure why any of that is, but hey, there we go. So yeah, Matt says 1 million is incredible money if we can get it. It would be a sensational amount of money for us. I'll be honest, if we get an offer somewhere, if we can get somewhere around $500,000, I'm not going to offer him out, right? Teams can come in and bid freely. That's absolutely fine. We're not going to actively try and sell him. If we get a bid of around $500,000 plus say 25-30% of the next sale, we're selling him. That's not just a record transfer fee, but that's also possibly a significant windfall down the road as well. Because if teams like Brentford and Ajax and Sporting are interested, you can imagine that if we get sold down the line, it's going to be for at least a few million as well. So yeah, that's where we stand. We played pre-season, some very easy games like Apia, Miap, and AL Limassol. Our training camp was in Cyprus. There's some relatively easy games. We beat Croatia's Dynamo Zagreb, which bodes quite well for our European campaign. We were rubbish. We had 6 shots, 4 on target, 0.75 XG, but somehow won, whilst Dynamo Zagreb completely and utterly dominated us. But it's a friendly, so you can't read too much into that. The most important thing is that we've we had Diane injured, so Diane hasn't had a proper pre-season. And obviously we've got Bersirovic injured as well. So we're kind of okay. Otherwise, most players are close to fitness, which is great. So El Norby says, "Hey Musterman, so you heard the Hungarian Bayern Munich appointed Robbie Keane? I don't know what to expect." Indeed, if you see down there, we've got the big question of the day, because Robbie Keane has just been unveiled as the Ferencváros manager, which seems a little bit out of left field. Really out of left field. So I was wanting to know, who do you think is the most unexpected or most surprising managerial appointment in your memory? Because I don't think anyone would have predicted that. So Campion said to it, "We beat a Champions League worthy opponent." Exactly. And although the Croatian league isn't loaded, I would expect that their players were in mid-season fitness for the way that it calculates things behind the scenes. So that's also quite encouraging. So Will Better says there isn't such thing as a bad game. The bad thing is not winning a game. Perhaps very true. I mean, we have definitely found times where we've gone into games and we've lost, and I've been very much quite happy with the performance. So I would say that not winning isn't always that bad. But then maybe that's just me gaslighting. Hungdamin says, "In your Barroense save, I beat Boa Vista at the Taça da Liga. That's very impressive indeed." El Norby says that's why I can't pronounce that team's name, so I will go with the initials. A DVTK championship would be a miracle. It seems like a little bit less of a miracle now. I mean, if all you've got to do is overcome Robbie Keane's Ferencváros, you'll be fine. So also, isn't Diane pronounced something like Diani? Quite possibly. I've been watching. So I'm pronouncing him Diane. He's Senegalese. I've managed to find some French commentary for another player who was called Diani potentially, and they were pronouncing it Diane. But in this particular, whether the commentators were right is one matter. Two, whether that's correct for this particular player is another matter entirely. So you may well indeed be right. Right, so let's head on into our first game here against TPS. So again, for those guys that aren't familiar with the Finnish leagues, I mean, like, why would you be? Let's be real. This Liigacup is between all the teams in the top division. So everyone we're going to be playing is a top division side. We play 5 games in a league stage. The top 2 teams in that league stage go through to the semi-finals. There are two groups, and then a normal semi-final final set up from there. 5 games means that you play an odd number of home games and away games. We play each team in our group once, and for the third year out of 4, we've got 3 away games and only 2 home games. So, I'm feeling like there's a little bit of corruption going on. So, someone has pointed out that Dave Moyes at Real Sociedad was pretty weird. That's true. Neil Lennon at Dynamo Bucharest definitely was as well. Patrick Kluivert to Indonesia is definitely something I don't think people were predicting. And a good shout from Herman for Neville to Valencia. I think anything to do with the Nevilles has always been very, very surprising. Neil Lennon won a cup at Ammonia Nicosia, then got promptly sacked a few months later, just 2 to 3 seasons ago. Neil Lennon's whole career has been very, very odd. Right, I do apologise. I had these highlight settings for pre-season on quite quickly, so I had them on key. Not that anything has happened. I mean, there's been no goals, but I do think it's a little bit nicer on stream to have it on extended, so we can see a little bit more of the game. And yet here we are, having got through the first half with nothing. I'm happy with us dominating possession. Let's be more expressive. And let's bring off the player who's been booked. So Bauer comes on for his debut. We're allowed to make 7 substitutions in this competition as well. And there's no limit on the stoppages, which is quite nice. So Kokusmo says he genuinely forgot Nuno Espirito Santos was even at Spurs. Just figured they went straight from Jose to Conte. He was given a very, very unfair run of times at Spurs. I think it's great to see how well things have shaked out since at Nottingham Forest. Carlo Ancelotti to Everton was pretty wild, that's for sure. Right, here's Carlson. Plays it out to Hagstrom. Hagstrom, can he get a cross in? He's kind of diddling around on the ball a little bit. Finds Tahiri. Tahiri with the cross. Kumecho with a weird kind of clearance. Back to Hagstrom. Hagstrom's got to find the space there and he shoots over. We are fortunate there. Matt says, we don't come here for correct pronunciation. Thank God. Thank God. Tunshai is in. Welcome in, Tunshai. Lovely to see you, my dude. How are you? Right, we have a free kick and it's going to be Savitsky into the wall. Hits goodbye. And there we go. Let's see if Engqvist can deliver something special here. Crosses it in. Reitinen can't get there. TPS clear. So around the hour mark, we've got plenty of substitutions that we can use. This could potentially be Slaymar's last appearance for us. So let's bring him on. Let's pop him on in that role there. Fortuna is looking tired as well. So let's put Kakinen in the shop window. That should be okay. That's two changes. As I say, we've got plenty of time and plenty of opportunities to make as many changes as we like. Welcome in, Maulo, by the way. Thank you very much for the follow. I really very much appreciated. Welcome in, Crodmo, as well. Lovely to see you here, my dude. I hope work was okay and the manic rushing around this evening before football isn't too stressful. Here comes Hagstrom. Down the right-hand side, no one really making a challenge. To here, he plays it through to Moisander, narrowly wide. That was a very good chance for Moisander. So they haven't had many chances, but two of them have been highlights now. So Jonathan Edwards mentions Tony Adams at Granada. That is also a fine shout. Let's go back to that. Let's be more expressive once more. Right, Diane's return from injury, and we're going to bring on Mane for his debut. That's now 5 substitutions, so we've still got 2 subs left. Let's see if we can hopefully grab a winner into these late exchanges. The second half hasn't been great by any stretch. Kind of even in terms of position. Doesn't look that way, does it? Doesn't. We've had a lot of the ball, not much incision, unfortunately, in this first game of the season. Last few minutes. Can we bring someone on? We can bring on Snab. Let's try Snab in this position as an inside forward. It's just a slight bit more attacking. Ultimately, like a draw is absolutely fine from the away games. I say that. Are we going to see us? We're not going to see a late winner from TPS there. That's the game over. Like, we're now in the 5th minute of 3 minutes injury time, so that will be the final whistle. An underwhelming start there. Yeah, we kind of had the better of it. A lot of the ball, just not enough incision. And we're not quite in full flow, but that is before all our signings arrive. Tomorrow we get our new team, which is marvellous. So yeah, we had some debuts there. Give these guys all a day's rest. Not that they worked hard enough to deserve it after that last game. And then we can welcome everyone in. So, would be funny if Robbie Keane's translator would go on to be another special one. How about that? That would be incredible, wouldn't it? That would indeed. So Crodmo's unexpected managerial appointments. How about Claudio Ranieri at Leicester? Remember Gary Lineker's reaction and then how it worked out, of course? Indeed, that is probably fair. I mean, Claudio Ranieri's record up to then included losing twice to the Faroe Islands as Greece manager. So it would be reasonable to say that him making that step up would have been quite a shock at the time. And here we go. Here are our guys, and the fans are kind of okay with it. So couple of B minuses for Jakub and for Sutari. Not as much enthusiasm for Bayern or Seek. Seek, as we said, is going to be there. So we'll send them all on to learn Swedish. We'll go through and do the welcoming malarkey. Dahlstrom can welcome loads of them. Fine, if that's what they want to do. And then Lundberg gets to say hello to Seek. There we go. And for squad numbers, we can't set the squad numbers proper until the league season is upon us. So we're just going to give these guys high numbers and we'll sort that out properly when we can change other players' numbers too. So there we go. We now have a squad's worth of players. Salim Snabs that comes out. Suntari will come onto the bench as well, probably in place of Holmberg. Jakub is currently at the Asian Cup, so he's with Syria. Good chance that Syria are out already. Perfect. So we'll get Jakub back sooner rather than later, which is marvelous. So Lukman No Pants, apologies if I didn't say hello to you earlier. Lovely to see you in, my dude. Derby della Madonnina. I beg my pardon. Derby della Madonnina is today. I don't know what that derby is. Is that the Rome? No, that's not the Rome one. That was yesterday, right? So Kian's in as well. Evening. I see you've done a few tweaks with the tactic this season, Musterman. The only minor tweaks, we've just added a ball playing defender in. So this was the tactic we were running last season. We've added a ball playing defender in. We've asked the defensive midfielder to play more direct. From the beginning of last season, we had a wide playmaker here and an attacking winger. That's now become a supporting winger and an attacking inverted winger. That was a change we made late in the season. We do have the attacking let's go for it 4-4-2 where we just push the player forwards. But this tends to be our starting setup there. So yeah, that should be our team there. Actually, I do intend on having Bayern as the starter. So Bayern can play as a striker. He can't currently play as an attacking midfielder. So that is something he's going to have to learn. Let's just get them to do that. We do need to have a check through that people are learning their roles. So ball playing defender, sweeper keeper support, defensive midfielder, halfback defend. Basirovic, we're going to prioritise learning to be on the left. I actually want to make sure that, yeah, Fortuna is learning what he's meant to be learning. So he's meant to... Fortuna there. Jakub is part of that attacking midfield option as a shadow striker. Santari as a target forward. Bayern as a shadow striker. So it might take a while for him to get familiar with that role, but we've got Jakub there as well. That we're going to hopefully be in a position where we can rotate our starters a little bit more. So there we go. Should be good. We've arranged some friendlies with the reserves as well to try and get players up to fitness. That's the hope. As Johnny Trot said, intensive Swedish language courses for all. We've got a sponsorship with Duolingo indeed. Yeah, that's the way forwards, right? And the fans are mild, exactly. So Nick over on YouTube mentions that Dick Advocar managed Iran national team. That was weird as well. That does seem weird. I mean, the Middle Eastern bloc seem to have a really good track record of hiring some left field choices. The fans' reactions are so boring, says Hungerman. True. It's kind of nice to know, like, so obviously because we do more of a data-led approach to our signings, it's quite interesting to see how the game reacts to the players that we bring in. Because obviously, in a number of situations, they won't see what we're looking for. Right, so Crommo says, I only have to go into my office twice a week, but for the lulz, I thought I'd calculate how many office days I probably have left in my career, and then felt sad. Oh dear. RJ is in. Welcome in, my dude. And indeed, you have already been told that there was a DeMarco on a mini game yesterday. We did laugh. Lovely to see you. How are you, my man? So it was the Milan Inter. Right, okay. Right. I didn't know that's what it was called. Well, it definitely wasn't called what I said. That's for sure. Toby is here as well. Welcome in, Toby. Welcome in, DM Bassist. Lovely to see you both, guys. Tales of the Tapes is in as well. Maybe not the most surprising, but Gattuso at Offie Crete gave us the greatest quote ever. What was the quote? Was that is that Gattuso quote? That's quite cool if it is. Kian says, I like the overload on the right and isolation on the left, as we can notice the heat map of the last game. However, we did try to force a long ball onto the left, losing it due to no support and conceding a dangerous chance to the opponent. Do you think it can be a concern? Over the course of the season, not majorly. As long as you're getting every tactic you have will have strengths and weaknesses. You're not going to have something that is going to be without weaknesses that can be exploited. It's just about choosing where you want those strengths and weaknesses to be and being prepared to deal with them in many respects. So here we go, into a game against KTP. KTP were promoted, not last season, the season before. They did stay up. They finished in 9th in the end. So not necessarily a bad little team there. I think we're ready to give Barwa the start. So Barwa can come in there. Basirovic is still a little bit away. Yakub is still with Syria, despite them losing all their games. I think we should be okay to go with that. Yep, understandably. Not having players for the actual pre-season is a bit of a shame, but there we go. So I also think the same. However, we could turn the inverted winger into a winger with cut inside, and he will work wonders in one-on-ones. Like, he works wonders already. Like, Fortuna was named player of the season. I'm quite comfortable and happy with the setup that we've got. That lost us only one game last year. Now, if we do start to see us getting overrun, we conceded, I think it was 1 goal down our left-hand side last year. So there are, if it is as much of a weakness as it is, we've been okay so far. But let's see, into the game. We've got faith. Come on then. So yes, indeed, it was the sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit quote. It is a classic, absolute classic. So you're okay, a bit busy. Fair enough, my dude. So Crummo does ask, do the cows need milking? I mean, when do the cows not need milking? Like, working on a farm, especially if it's a livestock farm, like that's got to be exhausting. Like, truly exhausting. Right, here we go. In the opening 5 minutes, a loose pass there, but Lundberg steps in. Stavitsky is in behind. Stavitsky isn't the greatest finisher. He forces a decent save out of the keeper. Good, encouraging start so far. So Real Betis turned their winger into striker. He's on 13 goals in 11 games. Wonderful. So Kyan says, I like the confidence and faith with Fortuna. Let's see how it goes. Indeed. So Fortuna, like, we're going to find out whether it's one season syndrome or whether he can maintain it into a second year. But if he does drop off, we've got Basirovic there. I expect there's going to be a lot of rotation between Stavitsky, Fortuna and Basirovic across the flanks as well. Here's Dahlstrom. Dahlstrom's got to score that. He does indeed. Dahlstrom.
Owns a Nokia phone, likes a sauna in the cold. Sebastian Dahlstrom. Yeah, Sebastian Dahlstrom.
There it is, our Captain Fantastic, who could probably single-handedly be blamed for our sole defeat in the league last season, looking to make amends early on. A nice finish. A nice finish. So RJ says that farming is just temporary. I'm looking for a change these days. I don't blame you. It's exhausting. Just looking for a new field of interest. Beautiful work. You can count on Johnny to come up with the puns of the stream. Beautifully done. Is he going to create something on his own? He is. It's almost caught Lilovic off guard, but in the end, a relatively easy save. Always makes you want to play Need for Speed Underground. That song was Riders on the Storm on that soundtrack? That doesn't feel like a driving song to me at all. It's quite mellow, isn't it? Here's Byron Giro. That would have been nice. A good way to have marked his debut if he could have finished that one off. We expect to be dominant against KTP, so nothing necessarily surprising here. A bit of a slow pass back to Reitinen. Thankfully, no danger there. And now here's Snore, finds Enquist. Enquist not really going anywhere, just kind of slowly sauntering, plays it to Fortuna. Fortuna inside to Bauer, to Lundberg. All the way back to Cometio. He finds Dahlstrom now. Dahlstrom also goes back. That's his more direct passing on display there. More direct to the centre-back. We've gone all the way back to Snore under relatively little pressure. But here's Savalainen into Dahlstrom now to Lundberg. Lundberg's going to try and beat his man and shoot from distance. It's a block. We get a corner. Okay. So he's outstanding in his field. I see what you do. The song from Need for Speed, it is Just Missed the Rapping. There's the rapping? What? Interesting. It's a remix. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. So there's a suggestion of opening a waffle place in Germany. That, I mean, like, I assume that Germans love a Belgian waffle just as much as the rest of us. That sounds like a great plan. You can't speak German, barely French and English. I mean, RG, your English... So, yeah, okay, it does seem like the internet is causing some trouble. So, yeah, okay, it does seem like the internet is causing some troubles. I've just tried to load up speed test, and that's... I've just tried to load up speed test, and that's not loading up properly. Marvellous. Okay, so, what do I do now? Right, I've got no frames missing there. I'm able to still... You're able to see that things are... there. And let's see, so... Right. Okay. Just having a think out loud. Let's pop on... Okay. Just having a think out loud. Let's pop on here. Let's...